Hello guys, welcome back to the next tutorial. So in this one we're gonna just continue talking about CSS selectors and we'll see more detail about it. So let's just quickly bring up the browser. Right now we're just working on the demo store. So last time we discussed about the IDs and the names using CSS selectors. We'll discuss a little bit more things about it. So let's just quickly bring up the Firebug and I want to show you one more thing. So here you guys see always when you select something like, right, last time we selected this, so you see something like XPath is by default generated, right? You always know about this one. So you guys can actually just click this drop down and select CSS from this. I'm just gonna default this one, delete this one, and now again gonna click this. So if I select this, right, it shows me the hash and then substring default, the ID of the input, right? So I just remember that I should show you this thing as well, so I wanted to show you. So similarly, if I click any other element, right, let's say select this, it's just gonna show me, right? I was talking about this thing that dot means class and hash means ID, right? So this selected this. There's a class with the ID called with the class called title, and that's what it's showing, right? So that's what I was talking about, guys, and it pretty much works this way. So this is pretty cool way to find CSS also using this thing, and we can just work with that. So what I wanted to talk about is class in this one. So let's discuss that. So we have this element, right? We have this element called div. It has a class called title, right? And that's what we looked in one of the tutorials where we tried to find out the element using the class name. So it's just gonna replace that thing by CSS selectors. So let's just quickly open our Eclipse, and I copy the same code from the last class, this one, right, up to here. So in this one I maybe again want to copy this, maybe I can do that, yeah. So let's copy up to here and we'll uncomment few things, or maybe you know what, let's copy one by one, let's not clutter it out, and let's do that. Let's keep it simple so you guys don't have these confusions going on, right? So let's do that. Let's uncomment this part. So by CSS selector, this time we want to find with the class, right? The hash represents the ID, and now we want to find with the class. So we're gonna use dot and the class of the element that we are trying to find. So title is something we're gonna use, and we don't have anything to send on the title, so we're just gonna click the title, right? So let's click the title and let's try to run this code. So this is what we're trying to do. We're just gonna find a class of the name title. The class is title, and we use dot for that. So these are basic things in CSS. CSS is basically cascading style sheets, right, which are used to give styles to our HTML web pages. So that's where we use classes, IDs, and all those things, right? So I'm just gonna click the run button and see how it works. Just gonna bring the browser up, and it should just click the title, right? So here you go, it just click the title and this pop-up is open, right? So let's close the browser and see how we can do it in the similar way. So we're gonna see, like the way we saw in ID, we saw a couple of more ways to write it. So the same thing we're gonna see right now. So as I described, that when we say dot title, it's gonna find all the elements on a web page that shares the class title. But if I wanna restrict it to something, so let's say this is div, this element is a type of it's a tag div, right? So if I wanna find all the elements that has a tag of div and class as title, right? So if I want to do something like that, I can do this. Similar to the ID thing, what I can do is I can just say tag name dot class name, and it's just gonna find that. So instead of again sending the iPhone, I'm just wanna click the title. So let's comment out the first one, so we make sure that only the second one is clicking the title, and then again run this code. So it's just gonna bring up the browser and it should just click the title, right? It's just gonna open the menu, the small menu, and it's done, right? That's what we wanted to see. So it's pretty handy, right, guys? If you notice that by CSS selectors, we can do all the things that we were doing using the IDs, the names, the classes, and all those things, right? So it's pretty handy. Same thing we can do as we did using the other way in ID, like this one. Let's copy this and let's paste it here. Then I'm going to explain this to you. So what we did is we found the input tag with the ID substring default when we were discussing in our last tutorial. Same thing we want to do up here. So let's say dev, and let's say I'm looking for a class, and let's say what I'm looking for is the class which is title, right? So that's what I wanted to find, and I think I can do that as well. So we're just looking at all the different ways we can use this CSS selector. So now instead of saying div.title, I'm saying div class equals to title. Similar way we looked in the last tutorial as well, right? When we found out input with the name substring and input with the ID substring default, all those things. So we can do the similar way, div class equals to title. So it's pretty much similar to this one, right? Instead of input, we are using div because now the element is div, it's not an input. And instead of name, we are using class because we're looking for the attribute called class, not name. And then we're just giving up the value, right? Instead of substring, we're giving the value title. So it's exactly the same way. So let's do this, run the code and see what happens. So it's just gonna bring up the browser and again do the same thing, right? And that's what we expect. So let's reload it, a little bit slow, still loading. Yeah, and it clicked the title, right? So that's pretty much it, guys. That's what I wanted to show you in this tutorial. So just all these different ways so we can use the CSS selectors using the IDs, the names, and the class and all those things. So there's going to be a few more details about CSS selectors that I'm going to cover in future lectures. So stay tuned, guys, and thanks for attending this one.